Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out my channel. I'm going to talk about two mowers today and what to look for if you own one or if you're planning on buying one or if one's been given to you, and the things that you should avoid. I'm going to do it on a Craftsman, I'm going to do it on a Yardman. This one's going to be the Craftsman. Now this Craftsman, I've got the hood off, and the hoods are really easy to remove on these, and I want to show you how to do that. The first thing is you need to unplug this plug, and that goes to the headlights you can see here, and it just pulls apart. Once you've undone that plug, all you have to do is slightly tilt the hood from fully open to about right there, which is kind of half open. Lift and wiggle it out, and that's it. But the one thing to look out for on these Craftsmen is this Sheppard hook engagement. Now these things have a tendency to break cables, and it could be that the metal that's at the end of this rod has snapped off because it was weak. A lot of those did that. Or the cable could have snapped, and that's because there's interference going on the deck, and I'll show you what's going on there. But basically it's called a Sheppard's hook because if you look, it looks like a Sheppard's hook. And I want to show you what the problem is. These are blade brakes. Do they really stop the blades from spinning? No. What stops the blades from spinning is you disengaging the cable with that Sheppard's hook. The problem is the return tension on this piece to disengage all this has a tendency to hang up because of this right here, this area. And sometimes right here too, this bracket's wore and it'll have like a half of a dime cut out of it. And that's because this roller just beats on this thing the entire time it's engaged. Now you can listen to this one. You can hear that's horrible. If yours sounds like that, you need to lubricate it. Now whenever you lubricate it, expect a lot of dirt and debris and leaves and that to stick to it and maybe cause it to sludge up. You don't want to mess around with this thing. If it's wore, go ahead and just replace it. Now in this case, it's the lower part that seems to be wore more than the upper part. I'm going to lubricate that. You have to continuously clean that and keep it clean and lubricated for this to work correctly. Another thing on these decks, just to let you know, this is a 42-inch deck. They also make a 38-inch cut. These cut the grass okay. The quality of cut has never been exceptional with these. They also make like a 54-inch cut, a triple-bladed one. I'll tell you, Craftsman's quality of cut isn't really super great. They're kind of known for getting the job done, but that's about it. Don't expect golf course quality fairways with these mowers. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Now, as far as these style of transmissions, if you're having a problem with it going in reverse, you might be able to get it in reverse if you hold it over and keep it held while you're trying to travel in reverse. If that's the case, the gears are just worn out in the transmission. Same with 6th gear. If you go all the way over to 6 and you notice that you just can't seem to get 6th gear, you can only get it part of 5th and then barely 6th, or it'll do 6th when you hold it over. I'll tell you, these aren't that exacting of transmissions. If you don't want to go through the trouble of replacing the entire transmission just to fix that one little problem, this might get you by. Open this up. Go ahead and grind out a little bit. File it out, whatever. Make it to where this lever can travel a little bit further. Same with on this side. Make it to where it can travel a little further. That might allow this down inside the transmission to engage that gear a little bit more fully, and you'll get your reverse back. That's really the most notorious thing about this mower. Now I'm going to jump into the yard machine. I have a lot of experience with these MTDs, and I want to try to cover everything I can think of really fast here. MTD makes quite a few different mowers. Yard Pro and Poulan Pro, some of the Poulan Pros. The MTD, Yardman, Yard Machines, Kmart brands, K-Grow, White Outdoor Power, a lot of the Cub Cadets, Troy Bilt, Lowe's brand, Ranch King, Tractor Supply, Husky. If I'm talking about this mower, I might be talking about yours, even though it might not have a Yard Machine or MTD label right on the side of it. This is the mower here. And this is about a 2000 yard machine. This one has a twin engine. I do like twin engines. I don't really necessarily care for the older style twin like this one here. It had a couple of problems with oil starvation when mowing on a hill and valve seats coming out. But I prefer a twin over a single. I don't really care for the Tecumseh twins so much. You don't see that many of them anyways. I don't really care for the Kohler stuff at all. I'm sorry if you guys have a Kohler. I just don't like the new Kohlers since they came out with the, since they left the Command series. The Command had a couple of weird problems, but they were much better than that stuff that they have now. What I prefer is the Briggs, and I prefer the Intech Twin or the Vanguard Twin. That's really the top of the line for Briggs. In this case, I want to talk about a few things on this mower and what to look for. If you have one, what to pay attention to, and if you're looking to buy one, maybe used, or if you're given one, what to look at. First of all, what to look at underneath here. There's no battery in here. I've taken it out. But you can see this has a large accommodation for a full-size lawn and garden battery. Stay away from the ones that have the little motorcycle battery. That thing doesn't last very long. Those motorcycle batteries don't last but maybe 2 seasons. As it is, a lawn and garden battery is only really supposed to last 3 years. You might be able to get 5 or 6 or 8 years out of yours. That's great, but they're only supposed to last 3 years. These mowers haven't really changed too much for quite a few years, but there were different options. Now on the Troy Bilts that have the shifter thing in the middle here that says low 1 and it's kind of recessed now, try to stay away from those. Those are a pain in the butt. It's not easy to shift. What you want to look for is something like this one. It has the forward, neutral, and reverse on the fender. Now they used to have them to where they had the forward, neutral, and reverse in the middle here. And then you could choose the speed over here on the fender, or you could choose the speed up here on the dash, and then you had a clutch pedal over here. Those were pretty straightforward, and they were a shift on the fly to some degree to where you could change the speed on the fender, but it's not as good as this pedal system. Now staying with the drive system on this, I want to let you know that all these transmissions are pretty much the same. Whether you have a forward, neutral, reverse in the middle here, forward, neutral, reverse on the fender here, if you have that Troy Bilt low high thing here, if you have a speed control here, if you have a speed control over here, or if you have a pedal, the transmissions are basically the same, and I'm going to show you what they look like. Now just because you have a pedal, you do not have a hydrostat. Please quit referring to these as hydrostat transmissions. These are just gear driven. They are done by belts and pulleys. And you can see here, this is the pulley that drives the transmission, and it's just a geared transmission. It doesn't need to have any kind of fluid other than lubrication in there to run. The way that they change speeds is by this triple pulley, and it's basically 2 outer halves and then an adjustable middle that goes up and down with the belt and the way that it's tensioned. And the way that you change the tension on that belt is there's a return spring that's pulling on the one belt all the time for tension, and then there's a lower belt that's being tensioned by the pedal that you're pushing or by what you're moving on the fender or on the dash. And basically you force this belt to travel a further path, a longer path on the outer part of the pulley to change the speed by making the lower one go in further. That pushes the top one out further, or when the top one goes in further, the bottom one goes out further, because they're working in conjunction with each other. That's how your speed's changed. It's not a hydrostatic pressure that's changing and increasing or decreasing the amount of fluid being pushed through the body that is causing the wheels to move at a faster rate. This is what engages the blades on and off. You might have a PTO switch that's down here. Both of those are fine. I have no problem with those. What I have a problem with, and I'm sure if you own one, you probably have a problem with it, is that big handle thing. Not Murray. Murray brand has a different style, even though the handle engages over here. The MTD brand, when you lower this, it engages the blades. And this one came in just so happened, so let me show you what I'm talking about. As you lower this arm, you can see this belt down here. It tenses up. Now, even with it as tight as it is, because these decks are getting old, because this is like a 97, this thing moves around so much that it will allow that belt to slacken them up to some extent. Now, the good thing is they have the covers on the spindles, which act as the belt guides and also help get the belt up off the pulleys when the deck is back in the disengaged position. Just stay away from this model. I don't have anything good to say about it, and I usually try to not talk 100% negative about things, but this is just a bad design. So overall, this machine's a pretty good machine, and I don't have a problem seeing these come in for repairs because the parts are so easily accessible and relatively cheap. Now, with the belts in the back, stay with OEM drive system belts. As far as the deck belts go, you can get away with some aftermarket ones. Just make sure that they're the right length and they set in the pulleys the right depth. Now, if you have one of those systems that you lower the deck and the blades come on, I really feel for you, because there's a lot of problems that you have to keep an eye out for. And hopefully you don't have any of those problems. But if you do, just be prepared to fix it the right way. And definitely put an OEM belt on that drive system for the belt, because that's the only way it's going to work. I appreciate you watching this video. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, send me a comment. I'll try to answer you right away. And if you like this, click like or subscribe, and I will try to make sure that I get more videos on there like that. And if you click subscribe, it'll get you an alert to let you know that the video is coming your way. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye.